Shabbat Shalom. Today is called Shabbat Zachor, meaning Shabbat of remembrance, because we read a special maftir portion of the Torah from the book of Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, and it reads, Zachor et asher asalecha Amalek baderech b'tzeitchem mimitzrayim. Remember what Amalek did to you on your journey after you left Egypt. As I taught this week on Wednesday evening, we remember Amalek on this Shabbat immediately preceding Purim, because in some ways the Purim narrative of Megillat Esther forms the final chapter of the cosmic struggle between the Jewish people and Amalek. In the Purim narrative, God does not create miracles that violate the laws of nature as we find in the Pesach narrative. In this holiday of Purim, we celebrate a time and a place in which the Jewish people exercises responsibility over our own tradition. We take matters into our own hands, and we stand proudly as Jews before our enemies and before the world. In many ways, that's the blessing of Purim. The idea that we, ordinary Jews, can bring blessings into the world and to those around us. We can change the world for the better. Rather than sitting back and waiting for a miraculous display of God's strength, we use the strength that God gave us. I'd like to discuss two such blessings with you that we're celebrating this morning. Two examples, proof of godliness in the world. The first blessing I'd like to discuss, is the memory of Chaim Sabbah. Chaim served this community as a steady voice of Torah for roughly 30 years. His Torah reading, much like his leadership, was precise. He brought steadiness to unpredictable circumstances. He brought calm to rocky times. In less than the year that I knew him, he struck me as a man infused with Torah and a man who loved life. He was never short on jokes. The jokes he usually shared with me before services could never, ever, ever be repeated from this bima. And amidst all of the laughter and the meticulous Torah, he was a man that cared deeply about people. At the same time, he both forced me to remain on my toes and made me feel welcome here at Adat Shalom. In every conversation, whether it was in this sanctuary before services, or on the phone, or in his hospital room, in all of our conversations, he always made sure to ask me about Blair and the kids. And I knew that came from a place of love for me and my family, and even more so, it came from a place of deep love for Judith and their family. Only a person who knows such love can show such love. It's something that I've tried to emulate in my rabbinate. He was such a particular person in his life journey from Morocco to the United States, in the way he needed to hear Hebrew pronunciated, in the way he supported his family and his community family. And from that particularity, he was able to walk in the world and charm people from every walk of life. Simply put, he was and continues to be a blessing for all who came into contact with him. The second blessing I'd like to discuss this morning is the institution of Hadassah Hospital. Hadassah was founded in 1912 by Henrietta Sold and a group of women dedicated to bringing top-notch medical care to Israel. Hadassah has always been iconic, emblematic of the type of state the Jewish people was intent on building, a state where science and medicine and life was valued. The institution of Hadassah is part of the fabric of the Jewish people. It enjoys the support of our people, and it suffers from the attacks of our enemies as well. One such example was in 1948, when a convoy of 77 Hadassah and Hebrew University doctors, nurses, and other personnel set out to reach the Mount Scopus location. A group of Arabs surrounded them and ultimately murdered each and every one of them on that convoy. In 1960, Hadassah Ein Kerem opened its doors. Hadassah Ein Kerem is the campus that most of us are familiar with, the one with the Chagall windows. Opening Hadassah Ein Kerem was thought of as a major milestone for the state of Israel by its first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion. This very, very particular hospital, founded on a particular set of Jewish values, serves as a light to the world, serving patients of all kinds, Jews and Arabs without prejudice, rich and poor without prejudice, religious and secular without prejudice. I know this for a fact because my wife Blair was a patient admitted to the Ein Kerem campus for 5 days while we lived in Israel. She was treated by both Jewish doctors and Arab doctors, by both religious staff and secular staff, and by both Russian nurses and compassionate nurses. And I can tell you that Hadassah stands as one of the great blessings that the Jewish state and the Jewish people have gifted to that region and to the world at large. Not all blessings fall out of the sky. Some are created through people, through the divine foresight of the women of Hadassah who have supported and they continue to support this amazing vision. Some blessings are brought through the divine touch of individuals like Chaim Sabbah, who protected the sanctity of Torah and honored the dignity of people all around him. And it's significant that we honor both of them today in preparation for a holiday that shows that we can stand up for ourselves, that we can bring divine qualities of Torah and justice and science and goodness into the world. Of all days, today it is extremely important to recognize that the tradition of Mordechai and Esther has never stopped. The mission of the Jewish people is daunting, but it's crucial and it must continue. And we, this community, and the Jewish people at large today must take part in the next chapter. Zachor, remember. Remember, in the spirit of our tradition, we must make every person feel worthwhile, feel recognized in our eyes, and we must create institutions that embody those values and that inspire us to maintain our support and force others to take notice of us. Remember that when we make these blessings apparent to others, there will be many who oppose them. Because although the people of Amalek might have disappeared, they left a lasting tradition of hate and violence that many in the world still find very appealing. Remember, being particularly Jewish and believing in the particular values of Torah, of justice, and of opportunity for all. At first, it seems very difficult to walk in the world this way, because it's difficult to be immediately universally accepted. But if we dedicate ourselves to the divine values of our tradition and our people, if we dedicate ourselves to the values of Mordechai and Esther, of Chaim Sabbah and his life, of Hadassah Hospital, and to all those who support it, then we can change the world for the better. May Hadassah continue to find support from our community, the American Jewish community, and by many others around the world. And may Hadassah continue to enact blessings to all those that it serves and inspires. And may the memory of Chaim Sabbah, Zichrono Livracha, may his memory always be a blessing to his wife Judith and to their family and his community here at Adat Shalom, and to everybody who ever knew him and loved him. And let us say, Amen. Amen.